not go there, for I am your friend in this mirage of fading shadows. I am life without end, even if you run in anger for 100,000 years, you will return to me at last. I am where the path clears. Didn't I tell you I am the ocean and you are the fish? Don't go to the dry land, I am the only water you could wish. Didn't I tell you, don't be fooled by the world's design? I am the painter of your joy, the artist of the divine. Didn't I tell you, do not fly like a bird to the snare? Come back to me, I am your wings, I am the power of the air. Didn't I tell you, they will rob you and leave you cold? But I am the fire, the warmth of your soul, as I foretold. They put ugly masks upon your face to make you forget that I am the source of beauty, the purest love you've met. Don't ask how the stars align or how the world is spun. I am the creator without limits, I am the only one. If you are the lamp of the heart, you know where to roam. And if you seek the divine, know that I am your home. Didn't I tell you? I am your home.
Today we're exploring a teaching from a very different culture, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. At first glance, it can seem distant from our lives. Different symbols, different beliefs, different language. But underneath that, the Tibetans were asking the same questions we ask. What happens when everything familiar falls away? How do we meet fear, loss, and uncertainty? What is this mind we live inside? The answer is not to believe more things, but to look more closely, to become curious about experience itself. Today, we'll explore one simple instruction from that tradition. Whatever appears, recognize it and do not be afraid. And we'll see what that might mean for how we live now.
Well, I'll meet you at the airport on Wednesday. I'm going to back to Arizona on Wednesday just for a turnaround to get a few things that just couldn't live without. So prayers for safe travel. But mostly, we've got a dear friend, Jeannie Walker. She's a pastor, very much retired pastor at the Methodist Church because of a number of very severe maladies. And just a few days ago, on top of her list, she was just recently diagnosed with breast cancer and thought they caught it early, so it was going to be one thing. And the next day we got an update saying that it's showing up in other places, so it's a more aggressive something. And it's just hard to make sense of people that are so good to have continued struggles. So prayers for Jeannie Walker.
I'm grieving the loss of Roy, who is a friend who, well, we've known each other for 44 years, and he always carried the weight of friendship. We met in a professional association, kept our friendship going outside of that association. He became a Unitarian minister after graduating from Star King and served for 30 years as a minister. So I really miss him.
A week ago Tuesday, my sister died. I wasn't ready to talk about it a week ago. My younger sister, 7 years younger. My younger sister who died of multiple brain difficulties and a tumor and all that sort of thing. It just seems to reverse the natural order when a younger sibling dies. I do have a joy, though. She is at peace. And I'm making friends with my niece again.
I am David, and unexpectedly, my wife and I...
David, hold it a little closer to your mouth. There.
I am David, and unexpectedly, my wife and I found a house that we're moving to. And we've been very happy where we've been living for the past 5 years. This just looks like someplace we want to move to. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ted, and this is actually a kind of request of my wife's. Priscilla has contracted a form of shingles that affects the facial nerve, in spite of the fact that she has had 3 vaccinations. But the reason that it's not nearly as bad as it was, as it could have been, is because of the vaccines. So I really implore people, especially people over the age of 50 to 55, if you don't have your shingles vaccine, please get it.
All right. Are there any joys, sorrows, or milestones that were shared on Zoom today, Kate? No.
Yes, we
Joyce.
do. Annie Morris has shared a joy. Many thanks, she says, to Trudy and, of course, Lou for the bliss known as air conditioning. I have to share that joy.
And now we will light this candle from our care team. May its steady glow hold space for all that we have spoken and all that remains unspoken, each joy, each sorrow, embraced in the stillness of this sacred moment. Let us share a moment of silence. All right, as you know, the work of our fellowship within these walls and beyond takes our time, treasure, and talents. Our financial offerings today help sustain this congregation as a place where all voices can be heard, where truth can be spoken without fear, where vulnerability is met with compassion. We give in gratitude for this beloved community and with hope for a world where more voices can speak their truth. As we pass the baskets, if you're new here today or if you're struggling to hold things together, please let the basket pass you by. Your presence is more than enough and is a gift to us. The morning offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship. Please know that each of the 6 charitable organizations here at Lakeside get twice a month, receive all monies collected at our services. This month, we will be donating to Poco a Poco. The description's on the monitor. As we receive these gifts, may we remember the abundant blessings we have received. May we use these gifts to foster love and justice in the world. And our opening hymn this afternoon, is Turn, Turn, Turn. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing.
A season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to die, a time to a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time
Good afternoon, friends. Before we explore what this text offers us, let's clear up a common misunderstanding. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is not something people read casually for inspiration. It's not philosophy in the usual sense. Traditionally, it is spoken aloud to someone who is dying and for days afterwards. A trained practitioner sits beside the dying person and gives very direct instructions. This is what is happening. Do not panic. Recognize what appears. The assumption is simple and realistic. As the body breaks down, the mind becomes unstable. Fear takes over. Habit takes over. Confusion takes over. So the purpose of the text is to interrupt that automatic reaction. It reminds the person again and again, whatever you are experiencing, recognize it as your own mind. Tibetans interpret this within a belief system about what happens after death. But here's the important part for us. They don't wait until death to practice this. And you do not need to share their belief system. They rehearse it during life through meditation, through illness, through emotional upheaval. Death is not treated as something separate. It is the most intense version of something already familiar. It is a time of transition, a bardo. My early ideas of this time of transition came from my mother. She was one of the first California licensed family counselors. Part of her practice was working with people who were dying. The unusual part of her practice is she also worked with them after they died. Now, most people were pretty confused then, and she could help them. I don't know what she actually did or how she did it. What I don't know, though, is how she billed for her services. So what does this matter to us? Here's where it becomes relevant for us at LCUUF. This is a very different culture, different symbols, different beliefs, and yet they were asking the same questions that you and I ask. What happens when everything familiar falls away? What is inside this mind we live inside? How do we meet fear, loss, and uncertainty? So instead of asking, do I believe this? The more useful question is, what can I learn from how they approached these questions? Because that's what stands out is not dogma, it's their attitude. They were deeply curious about the mind, curious about fear, curious about what happens when identity begins to loosen. And that curiosity is the key, because the opposite of fear is not courage, it's curiosity. When something difficult arises, you can tighten up or you can become curious. What is this? How is it appearing? What happens if I don't run away from it? That shift from resistance to curiosity is exactly what this text is teaching. Now, you don't have to believe in an afterlife. So let's address this directly. Many people here are atheists or agnostics. You may not believe anything continues after death. So why should you care about a book that seems to describe what happens after death? Because it's not really about the afterlife. It's about how the mind behaves when things fall apart. The text describes what happens when your normal sense of self collapses. Confusion, fear, loss of control, strong mental imagery, grasping for something familiar. You don't have to die to experience that. You see it in serious illness, grief, aging, major life transitions. We've all experienced this when we moved to Mexico late in our lives. So you can read this text not as metaphysics, but as a map of the mind under stress. And the question becomes, when your world falls apart, what does your mind do? And can you work with it? Now we're going to have a meditation. And before we meditate, here is the key idea from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. When a person is dying, Tibetan teachers sit beside them and give one simple instruction again and again. Whatever appears, do not panic. Regard it as your own mind. Fear comes when we think something is happening to us. Freedom begins when we recognize what is happening is in the mind. For the next few minutes, we'll practice this recognition together. So sit comfortably, feet on the floor. Gently look around. Notice a color, a shape. Now close your eyes or soften your gaze and feel the body sitting here, feet on the floor, chair supporting you. Take a slow breath in and let it go. The Tibetan Book of the Dead gives a simple instruction. Whatever appears, recognize it as your own mind. Do not be afraid. I'll add one more. Be curious. Now, notice the mind. If a thought appears, recognize it and tell yourself a thought has appeared. If an emotion appears, recognize it. Let it be here. Let it pass. Thoughts change. Sensations change. Emotions change. Awareness notices all of it. rest here. Then gently open your eyes and remember whatever appears, recognize it, and do not be afraid. Now, you are already in the Bardo. The word Bardo means in between. Not just after death. Any time your old identity is fading out and the next one isn't clear yet, you are in a Bardo. I think that's why all of us have gone through a Bardo as we were adjusting to life in Mexico. Retirement changes the structure of your life. The body changes, loss accumulates, certainty softens, and something else happens. Distractions start to fall away. And when distractions fall away, the mind becomes more visible. It can't hide anymore. The Bardo is a mirror. One of the clearest teachings of the Tibetan text is this: when the external world no longer absorbs your attention, the mind reveals itself. You don't have to wait for death. Aging already does this. Old grief resurfaces. Old fears return. Old habits show up. This is not a failure, it is exposure. What appears is not there to punish you, it is there to complete itself. So the real question is, how do you meet what appears? With resistance or with curiosity? The text describes peaceful and frightening visions, but the teachers are very clear. These are not external beings. They're your own mind, your emotions and tendencies appearing without filters. When something arises and you resist it, it becomes overwhelming. When something arises and you recognize it, it softens. You've seen this in your own life. Unfelt grief lingers. Unspoken anger builds. Avoided fear grows. The teaching is simple. What you don't face grows stronger. What you recognize begins to settle. And curiosity makes that possible. Instead of pushing something away, you turn towards it. What is this feeling? What is it in the body? Does it stay the same? That shift changes everything. Now the text describes two kinds of light that you may be attracted towards. The bright light is clarity. It reveals things as they are. The dull light is habit. It feels familiar and safe. Most people choose the dull light. The safety is appealing, not because it's better, but because it's easier, because it's safer. And this shows up clearly in aging. The bright light is facing reality. The dull light is avoiding it. The bright light is honest conversation. The dull light is silence. The bright light is letting go. The dull light is clinging. So the teaching is simple. The dull light keeps you looping. The bright light opens something new. And curiosity helps you move towards that bright light. Now, the text is not about belief. It's about preparation. Preparation means becoming familiar with your own mind, not being surprised by fear, not being controlled by habit, not reacting automatically. Every transition in aging is preparation. Every loss, every change, every uncomfortable truth. You don't need to believe in rebirth to see the value of that. You just need to recognize it. At some point, things will fall apart. And the question is, will you panic? Or will you recognize what is happening? Now, in Tibetan practice, someone reads these instructions to you as you die. Why? Because the mind destabilizes in transition. A steady voice helps. And this is where UU community matters. You sit with each other through illness and loss. You help each other stay present. You remind each other what matters. You don't need ritual language. Your presence does the work. And as elders, you carry that presence. So if you reduce the entire Tibetan Book of the Dead to one instruction, this is it. Whatever appears, recognize it as your own mind. This includes fear, this includes regret, this includes joy. This is not mystical, it's practical. And curiosity is what makes it possible. Without curiosity, you resist. With curiosity, you see. So what can we learn from this very different culture? Not what to believe, but how to face the same questions they were facing. What happens when everything changes? How does the mind react? How do we meet fear? They approach these questions with attention, honesty, and curiosity, and that gives you something usable. When fear arises, be curious. When loss comes, be curious. When the future is unclear, be curious. You are already in a kind of Bardo, and the invitation is simple. Recognize what appears. Do not be afraid. Stay curious. Because when you meet your experience that way, even the harshest transitions become workable. And that may be the real gift of this teaching, not a map of what happens after death, but a way to live now with clarity, steadiness, and with an open, curious mind.
Our closing hymn this afternoon is O Life That Maketh All Things New. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing.
So let's close with this. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is often seen as a guide to dying. But what it really offers is a way of living, of meeting experience, any experience, not with resistance, not with fear, but with recognition and curiosity. You don't have to wait for the end of life to use this. It applies right now. When something changes, when something is uncertain, when something feels difficult, you can pause and ask, what is this? How is it appearing? What happens if I don't run? So as you go out today, carry this simple instruction. Recognize what appears. Do not be afraid. Stay curious.
All right, let us extinguish our chalice now with these words that we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world. All right, please enjoy our postlude by Wiley Beveridge. Thank you, Wiley. Our worship is over and our service begins. Go in peace and with a purpose.